does seem like InspectMind AI is really driven by a strong sense of purpose. And I'm wondering kind of how you balance your business goals with the mission of kind of serving underserved customers, which I know is a big thing in the industry.
Yeah. I mean, for us, it's personal. I mean, my dad is our first user. He's our first user. He was the one who first used our app and told us, oh, this thing works. We turned 2 hours of work into 5 minutes of review time. That's when we knew we're onto something, right? Now we have so many customers from one-man shops to multi-thousand person engineering firms that most people on this podcast have heard of, household names.
AI has already had a huge impact in the civil engineering community, and the impact is growing day by day. In today's episode, I have with me Aakash Prasad. Aakash is the CEO and co-founder of InspectMind AI, and they're doing some amazing things with AI for civil engineers, and he talks about that. And he talks about the impact that AI can have on our industry, including the impact it can have on the talent shortage that every firm is experiencing. He also gives an interesting analogy on why engineers should be awesome at sales and business development and why we should want to do it over everything else. But first, a word from our sponsor.
At InspectMind, we understand that engineers and inspectors often spend too much time on report writing instead of focusing on the field. That's why we've developed an AI-powered platform that streamlines the reporting process, significantly reducing the time it takes to create high-quality reports. With features like real-time AI-generated report previews, efficient photo capture, and collaborative tools, you can focus on what truly matters, your projects. Plus, we're pioneering hands-free inspections using voice and photo input through smart glasses for enhanced on-site safety and efficiency. Transform the way you work with InspectMind. Visit inspectmind.ai. That's inspectmind.ai to learn more.
All right, now I'd like to welcome our guest onto the show for today. Aakash Prasad is the co-founder and CEO at InspectMind AI. Aakash, welcome to the Civil Engineering Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, Aakash, the genesis of InspectMind is an interesting story. Could you talk a little bit about the early days of InspectMind, how you got started, the core purpose that really drives the company?
Yeah, I grew up right at the intersection of civil engineering and software. So my dad's a structural engineer, my mom's a software engineer. So my whole life, I saw a lot of job sites and a lot of software. And so it kind of became a passion of mine. And for 20 years, I saw my dad do site visits and write reports. And there was a point last summer when he sent me a report to review and proofread. And I had an idea. I was like, I think AI could do these reports. And so I teamed up with a friend, Shan Ling. We were actually neighbors in San Francisco. And she's like one of the best engineers I knew. She's from Google, Carnegie Mellon, Airbnb, like a top 1% software engineer in San Francisco. And we're like, I bet we could help a lot of people write reports with AI. And initially it was just, hey, there's probably a lot of people like my dad who do site visits and write field reports, right? And what we've just been seeing over time is the number of people who write reports and the types of reports that are out there, from your civil, structural, mechanical, electrical engineering, you get it in forensics, you get it in construction, just an incredible number of people out there who just do site visits and write reports. And here's what we've seen. Just like my dad, they enjoy going to the site visits. They enjoy meeting people. They enjoy going to different buildings. They love sharing their knowledge, right? If you know engineers, they are like a library of knowledge, and they love learning and they love sharing their knowledge. They love to go and see, here's all the problems, and this kind of crack means this, and you should do the following to the foundation, or here's a better solution to whatever the contractor is doing, etc. Like, that's my dad, and that's probably everybody watching this podcast. But they hate writing reports. So that's what we've built a solution for, where you can use our app during your site visit, and the app does your whole report for you at the click of a button.
That's interesting. And it's interesting that you kind of grew up with both of those. So you kind of got the idea for combining civil engineering with this AI technology to kind of make really the lives of civil engineers easier, it sounds like.
Oh, exactly. We want to use AI to free up time from the stuff that engineers don't want to do, like the boring, mundane kind of stuff. And that way they can spend time on the things that, they do like to do, like, design, like calculations, like engineering judgment, and not like report generation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic in general, just because there are things obviously that AI can do. We're discovering more and more every day. And there are things that AI can't quite do, maybe from an engineering perspective, let's say, right? So you're trying to look at the whole process and say, listen, you're going to look at the cracks and understand what they mean, but you don't necessarily need to write it out that way. And if someone else can help you or the AI can help you. So I think that that's an interesting approach to it for sure. And I will say, just, we had you on the our tech podcast with Nick Heim, which went really well. And it does seem like InspectMind AI is really driven by a strong sense of purpose. And I'm wondering kind of how you balance your business goals with the mission of kind of serving underserved customers, which I know is a big thing in the industry.
Yeah. I mean, for us, it's personal. I mean, my dad is our first user. He's our first user. He was the one who first used our app and told us, oh, this thing works. We turned 2 hours of work into 5 minutes of review time. That's when we knew we're onto something, right? Now we have so many customers, from one-man shops to multi-thousand person engineering firms that most people on this podcast have heard of, household names in the industry, and everything in the middle. And so, the way we build our company is, number one, is we want to help solve our customers' problems. That's our North Star. We're not chasing sales. We're not chasing growth. We're not chasing revenue. We're not chasing profits. We're in the business of solving our customers' problems with AI. And our belief is that if we do that well, everything else is going to follow. If you actually can help your customer and solve their problem and deliver for them and go the extra mile for them, they're going to pay you, and they're going to tell all their friends about it. And they're going to, you're going to get word of mouth. You're going to get growth. And, a lot of companies are kind of built in a mercenary way. They're very focused on the spreadsheets, on the bean counter accounting, and they're very focused on that. And, they kind of forget what is the cart and what is the horse. And the way we think about it is, the most important thing is the people that we're building this for. It's the people like my dad. It's the people out in the field who do site visits, who write reports that we can save them time. We can improve their quality of life, whether they use that time to go take on more projects and make more money, or they use that time so they can go spend more time with their family or go to the beach. That's up to them. But we want to focus on serving our customers and really taking care of them and delivering for them. And today, what we can do for them is automate their reports. But, over time, there's going to be more and more things that we're going to be able to do for them with AI. In fact, we've already thought of, more things that we're going to be able to do for our civil engineering customers, with AI, like search their plans, for example, find details, find calculations, search specifications, ask questions, analytics, all kinds of things, even, being able to search the reports, search their past reports and find interesting things or insights, so really the way I think about it is, the way we're building this company is extreme customer focus and understanding that when you do that, everything else flows as a result of making your customer successful. So that's what we obsess about. And the way we do that is we hire only the best software engineers, the best AI engineers who can make these customers really successful. Because ultimately, we think business is really simple. On one side, you have customers who have, problems, like, they're spending 10 hours writing a report. And on the other side, you need to have really smart engineers who can solve those problems and deliver value to these customers. And we want to keep things, that simple. And in fact, just today, there was a far more, experienced CEO asking me a question. And he asked me, how do you attract these really good engineers in San Francisco? Because if you're a really good software engineer in San Francisco, you could go work at Google, you could work at Adobe, you could work at Airbnb. Why work here? And what I told him is, what most people think engineers want is money. But here's the thing. If they wanted money, they would have studied finance. Finance is the study of money, right? The reason people become engineers, whether you're a civil engineer or software engineer, is what people really want is they want to work on interesting things. They want to solve meaningful problems. They want to have a reason, purpose, meaning in their life. They want job satisfaction. The satisfaction that you get as a civil engineer when you see this amazing building built, or the satisfaction our software engineers get when they see the impact we can make on our customer, the impact when, that person, Chuck or Ron was spending 10 hours a day in Florida writing reports, and now 3 days of report writing time is 30 minutes of review time, and they could, do so many other things with that time. And so it's that satisfaction.
Yeah, no, that's great. In fact, it's interesting follow-up episode to my last episode because I had interviewed a professor. His name's Wes Marshall, PhD, licensed PE, and he's a professor and associate chair of civil engineering at the University of Colorado, Denver. But he's also the author of an interesting book called Killed by a Traffic Engineer, Shattering the Delusion That Science Underlies Our Transportation System. And what he talked about basically was he went back and looked through tons of reports and research around highway design and traffic design to understand the decisions that were being made. And you made me think about something like that as something that AI could really have assisted him with in terms of going through that information maybe faster, easier, finding the data that he needs to kind of make the case that we need to make some improvements to our highway design standards or whatever the case may be. So I definitely think that there are a lot of applications for that. And I guess what I'd love for you to do here is just take us through a little bit in terms of the, some of the most time-consuming tasks that your technology helps civil engineers with, just to give us some examples for the listeners.
Absolutely. So today, the way most engineers do their site visits and reports, and I know there's technicality in terms of inspection, observation, assessment, but let's just, call it a site visit, right? And so you go to the site, you take photos, maybe you jot down some notes, and then you come back to the office, and maybe a couple days later, you're spending hours, days, weeks writing up a report. It could be a 5-page job site observation. It could be a 500-page report of a big building, with hundreds of photos. And that's the state of the art today. And so we have a much better way to do this. And we have an app that works on your phone, your tablet, your computer. It works across, Android, iOS, your, website. And you basically take this app to your site. And within the app, what you do is you take photos of the different things you're looking at. So you're looking at, let's say 50 different things or 500 different things, and you're taking photos. And then you're simply speaking your notes into the app. You're speaking your thoughts and observation. Hey, there's a, settlement in the foundation. I recommend helical piers. There's, the bottom of the guardrail is rusted. There's the following kind of crack, which, indicates this kind of hail damage, right? And so you're essentially you're doing the same thing you're already doing at the site. You're already taking photos. You're already taking notes. You're just doing that within our app. And if you want, you could upload it to our app on your computer later when you're back from the site. So it doesn't even have to be at the site either way, although it is faster if you do it at the site, because then you click a button. And you could also upload supporting materials. If there's supporting documents you want to reference, specifications, all kinds of things, you could upload that. And then what our application does is it takes all that information and it uses AI and our software to basically put your whole report together in the complete template. And we can actually do it in your firm's template, exactly your firm's template, not just like the logo and letterhead, but all the sections and formatting and everything. So the whole process of putting that report together, of like your formatting, your different sections, your observations, conclusions, recommendations, summaries, down to the font size, everything gets automated. And basically you get that, think of it as a 95% draft of the report as a Word file. And we give you the Word file because now you have the complete freedom to finish it up, make any edits, QA, QC, everything that you want. But the quality of report we're able to put together is as if you had a technical writer write it for you. So really well-written report. And obviously it's only going to be as good as the inputs you provide it. So the more photos and the more, notes you're taking at the site, the more detailed you are in terms of your observations and recommendations and everything, just the more thorough and, better report the AI is going to be able to put together for you. But, we have customers where 3 days of report writing time to put a 50, 100-page report together is now, less than an hour of review time. And the quality's gone up.
Yeah, it's a big difference for sure. So let's talk about something that I'm sure our listeners are thinking about, which would be the ethical considerations of using AI in civil engineering, particularly maybe in terms of impact to the workforce. Talk a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So, the main thing with us is our app is not doing the inspection, right? You are the PD doing the site visit. It's your knowledge, it's your insight, it's your engineering judgment, it's your observations. We're simply a tool for putting kind of your thoughts pen to paper, essentially. So we're a tool for that. So we're not automating the value added, valuable engineering work that you're doing, because you're the one who knows what to look at and what the issues are and what the recommendations are, right? That's like your expertise as an engineer. We are just a tool. Like previously you were using Microsoft Word to spend 10 hours and type this report up and drag and drop photos and format everything and type up your captions, right? And now we're just a tool that's better than Microsoft Word for putting your thoughts and observations into that document. That's really what we are. And so the impact that we have on the workforce is by freeing up their time on the more mundane tasks like the report writing. They now have so much more time to do design work and engineering work and spend more time at the site and do more site visits. So we have customers where, if they were doing X number of projects a month, X number of site visits a month, but they were spending way more time writing reports than they were spending on the actual site visits. Since we freed up so much time, now they can actually go and do and sell twice as many site visits a month. And so it becomes like a superpower for them, a co-pilot, an assistant, where they're able to do more with their time and actually make more money because their unit profitability per project has gone up because, instead of spending 10 hours, now maybe they're spending 4 hours, right, between the site, because, they still have to do the site visit, right? So that's how
it's great. It's a big time saver. And obviously, if you can eliminate some of the administrative items, that's beneficial, because if you're an engineer who's billing out at a very high rate, you want to be spending that time on engineering and then, having someone else do some of the other stuff or having the AI do it, depending on the situation. But I think the idea is that you're taking some of that kind of, administrative work that you don't really need to be doing with your education and your background. You could stay focused on the higher level stuff. And I like what you said too, is that if you could do a little more business development, you're going to bring in more business for your company in the time that you're saving, which even, helps the bottom line even more.
Oh, exactly. You could, because we're in a market where, it's so hard to find engineers to hire, right? You know that. I mean,
oh yeah, for sure. That's the biggest problem for all of our clients.
Experienced engineers are in such high demand. So it's hard for firms to grow. If you're a firm, if you're even a small or mid-sized firm, I mean, your bottleneck is, it's not actually demand. There's so much construction happening. There's so many people that want to hire you for projects. You can't find and hire engineers fast enough is what we hear. And that's their biggest bottlenecks. If you can actually use AI and software and automation to automate some of the mundane work and make your workforce more productive, doing the things they want to do and they enjoy doing versus like formatting a report, then you can actually take on more business. You can generate more revenue from that same workforce, as opposed to, your growth is bottlenecked because you can't hire enough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that being said, taking it one step further, kind of how do you envision the future of civil engineering evolving, across the industry with the increased integration of AI, and what impact might that have?
Well, I can't see into the future, but the best way to predict the future is to build it. And I'll tell you what we're going to build. So today we're building, we're automating this one workflow, right? And over time, we're going to ask our customers, hey, what else do you want us to do for you? Right? We've got all these like really smart top 1% AI software engineers in San Francisco. What else do you want us to do for you? And they tell us, like, could you do this? Could you do that? And obviously they tell us the things they don't want to do, right? They're not going to tell us the things that,
right,
they want to do, and they want, because they don't want AI to replace that stuff, right? They tell us the things like they don't enjoy doing. There's a 5,000 page document. You have to find the needle in the haystack, like the report
right,
analysis you were talking about earlier with the transportation highway reports, right?
Yeah.
So things like that, they constantly tell us about things like that they want us to do. And so we just listen to the customer, and our North Star is, how can we help you more? If you're a PE, we want to help you, right? And you tell us what we could do for you. We'll tell you if our AI engineers can do it, and we'll do it. And really, our business is that simple.
Yeah. And I think if you're listening, your firm should be doing is you should be thinking about how AI can improve your workflows within your organization. I mean, obviously the writing reports is one workflow. There's writing proposals. I mean, There's a million different things you can look at. And so I think if you're listening to this episode as a civil engineer, and I know some firms that we work with have technology or AI committees where they get people together and kind of talk through what they're doing in the firm, what they could be doing, what else is available. And so I think really it's up to the firm to kind of think about how they can improve their workflow plot processes using AI to be able to start to integrate it. And I do think that what Aakash mentioned around just the capacity of engineers that we have available to us, right? The ability to find talent today is just really difficult to do. So if you can help your existing employees be more effective, more productive, and they can get more work done, you're going to have less of a need. You don't have to hire as many engineers, which you're having trouble hiring to begin with. And that's where I think AI can be very beneficial, is that if the number of engineers in the US is not increasing, we need to figure out a way to get the projects done with what we have right now. And AI can be a part of that solution.
No, exactly. And look, our company's, North Star is we want to help you, right? You tell us, you educate us on how we can help you. What are all the things you don't enjoy doing? What are the things you wish AI could do for you? And we'll see what we can do. And, today it's report generation, maybe 10 years later, it's 50 things we can do for you. Right. We want to displace Autodesk, by the way, because Autodesk is this company that doesn't innovate, and they just keep charging you more every year. And I've never met a happy customer of Autodesk. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm saying. I'm just saying the quiet part out loud. But what we want to do is we want to actually solve your problems with AI. And one of the coolest things with our company versus Autodesk is we've made our app so simple. You don't need a university to learn how to use the software. You don't need to go to Autodesk University.
Right. You're trying to be as user-friendly as possible.
As easy to use as possible. We have customers who are, I can say this because, my dad's 64. So we have customers that are around my dad's age, and even people who don't use computers too much, but they can use this app.
They can navigate the technology. Yeah.
Because it cannot get simpler than take photos and talk and click a button or report stuff.
Yeah.
We've tried to make it as simple as possible.
No, it's great. No, it's exciting what you've done. I'm excited to see what your company is going to do moving forward. I think the civil engineering industry is there's a lot of opportunity for AI improving our workflow processes and helping solve the biggest problem, which is the shortage of talent in our industry, and AI can be very beneficial with that. So, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and put Aakash on the career hot seat and finish up with a few last questions. We'll be right back. All right. I am back with our guest for today, Aakash Prasad. Aakash is the co-founder and CEO at InspectMind AI. He's talked to us a lot about how AI can really improve the civil engineering industry. Their product, of course, helps quite a bit with report writing. So now, Aakash, I'm just going to finish us up here with a couple of career-related questions. And my first question for you is, do you have any specific rituals or routines that you practice every day, whether it's a morning routine or lunchtime, or just something that you do on a regular basis that has contributed to your success?
I think the number one thing is always prioritization. Yeah, there's always hundreds of things on your plate. There's hundreds of things you can do. You're never going to run out of things you can do. You could always make up work too. But it's really knowing what is important and just understanding that if you get that right, that matters more than many of the other things. Like for our business, InspectMind, we know that if we get customer success right, if we can really take care of our customers and we can make them successful and we can deliver real, concrete, tangible, quantifiable value to them, the rest will take care of itself, right? So it's knowing, when you play bowling, it's knowing what is that bowling pin that knocks out the other bowling pins, and really just understanding that if you just get that bowling pin right, you don't have to worry about knocking out all the, one by one. If you just get that right, it'll take care of everything else. So I think it's really, you have to understand what is important and focus on that. And I think that often comes down to really understanding your values.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think I say this all the time about engineers. If you have 20 things to do and you do the 18 first that are not that impactful, it's not a very effective day. If you do the 2 things that are impactful first, no matter what happens after that, you've had a pretty effective day. So definitely thinking about prioritizing and doing things in the right order is a huge thing. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is, in your career, in terms of professional development, leadership development, has there been a book or a course or an author or a framework or something that you've run into that has kind of stuck with you and you've used in some of your endeavors and development professionally or your business? Is there any frameworks or anything like that that stuck with you?
Absolutely. And this is probably not the answer most people would expect over here, because this is not your classic business book. But there's a couple of favorite books. So a couple of years back, one of my employees actually sent me a book. And this book is called If You Want to Walk on Water, Get Off the Boat. And it's actually by a pastor named John Ortberg, who's a pastor in a church in Menlo Park, California. And this entire book is about one Bible story that is about Peter getting off the boat and walking with Jesus on water. And there's so much you can learn about business from this book, because getting off the boat is getting out of your comfort zone. That's what it means. And then, the whole that whole Bible story is when you keep your eyes focused on Jesus, you can walk on water. When you focus on the storm, then you start sinking, but he lifts you up. And if you really go deep into that story, it's so powerful. There's so many lessons you can derive for that in business and leadership, and, really having, the faith and courage to take risks and to innovate and to do things people haven't done before, and be unconventional and be authentic and be bold. And I think, it really comes, for me, it comes from my faith. And so this, you probably haven't heard this answer before, but the best business book is actually the Bible. And
that's interesting. No, and the story that you gave there specifically is really interesting. And I think that can apply in your career, is when you lose your focus, right, and you get off track, it becomes harder to reach your goal. And you don't even realize it, but you do start slipping and you start falling. And I think that's something that kind of goes back to your last answer too, of prioritizing and staying focused on the right things in life and in your career. And I just think that's so important, especially for engineers who we kind of always want to be busy, and we're not necessarily thinking about if we're busy on the right things, right? Yeah. We're focused on the right things. And I think that's just such an important aspect of that. All right. The one last question I'm going to ask you here is, and whatever, it could be a civil engineer, any engineer, you got into an elevator with them, you got about 30 seconds with them, and you got to give them some just career advice in their career of what they should do, just from your career experience personally and the work that you've done with engineers. And, I know your father's a civil engineer. What career advice could you give him in a short period of time that could be impactful?
I think it's what I see is, a lot of engineers, sometimes their biggest problem or bottleneck or frustration is sales. Sales, business development. Mm-hmm. But a lot of engineers shy away from sales because when they think of sales, they think of a used car salesman. It's trying to sell you a lemon. But unfortunately, sales has kind of a bad rep because of that. But really, if you think, engineers should be really good at sales. Because what is sales? It's being authentic, it's being honest, and it's really problem solving. If you think of it as you're trying to solve your customer's problem, your customer has a problem. They have this damaged building, or they need this inspection, or they need, they can't get a permit without your engineering or your grading plan done, right? They've got a problem. And if you just think of it as you're trying to solve their problem, the more people you can help, and the more people you can help through your skills as an engineer by solving their problem, that's really the best way to sell. So I think, my advice would be, selling actually isn't that hard. It just people have a lot of misconceptions about selling because they're used to use car salesmen. But if you actually just focus on being honest and being authentic and being transparent and just genuinely care about your customer and solving their problem, sales is actually very natural and easy. It just, if you take away all the misconceptions people have, you just focus on taking care of your customer. That's the best way to sell.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that's a great analogy. I mean, sales really should be solving problems. If you solve your prospective client's problem, they're going to hire you. Well, and if you solve that problem, you may be able to solve another problem for them down the road. So I think that's a great piece of advice. So Aakash, before we let you go, tell our listeners about where they can learn about your product and just learn more about it. It sounds like it could be really beneficial to the community.
Yeah, well, we have a website, www.inspectmind.ai. Inspect like inspection, mind like, your mind, your brain, .ai. We have an app in both the Apple, iOS and the Android app store. So if you go and search InspectMind on the app store, you're going to be able to find our app. But, if you go to our website or email us, reach out to us, like I'll personally give you a demo of our product and get you set up. So we could get you set up so you could try it out the same day, do a fake inspection at your home or office and just see how the app works. And we have a lot of customers who do that, just first meeting and they just try a fake inspection at their home or office and see how the app works. And then they just get it, just the best way is just to try it out and see how it works. And then we can, configure it exactly the way you want it for your firm.
That's great. Well, Aakash, congratulations on what you've accomplished so far, but it sounds like you still have a lot of work that you want to get done, and it sounds like you're on the right path. I appreciate you coming on the Civil Engineering Podcast and sharing a little bit about your background and your story. I really do appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Aakash. He's a bright guy, and he's doing some great things with his company to really help the civil engineering community embrace AI, and I hope that you enjoyed what he had to share. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel here. We do put out videos like this on a weekly basis to help engineers become better managers and leaders. I'll see you next week.